Hi, how are you? Welcome to Live United. I'm Kenrick Thomas, the Director of Communications and Marketing for the United Way of St. Lucie County. Each month, we like to have our funded agencies to come on and talk about the impact they're having in the community. Today, I have the ARC of St. Lucie County, Debbie Van Slooten, the Executive Director. How's everything going?
Great. Thank you for having me, and thank you for United Way's support of our agency.
Well, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. Now, before we start, can you give us a little background information on the ARC of St. Lucie County?
Sure. The ARC of St. Lucie County has been around in Fort Pierce since about 1954, so 55 years. I did the math. We serve people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, both children and adults. We have several programs to serve those folks, and we have about, I may be skipping ahead to your question.
That's fine.
About 150 clients, which we call them clients, they're individuals. And we employ 75 people from the community, so we're kind of a mid-sized nonprofit. And I didn't want to get too much into the programs and services because I think that's one of the questions we'll get to, but basically it's support, advocacy, and services for intellectual and developmental disabilities.
That's really good. Now, what is an intellectual and development disability?
Well, it could be any range of diagnosed conditions from cerebral palsy to developmental disabilities called, which is it's just a delay in their cognitive development. Generally, it's diagnosed at birth, so it's not something that's fixable, that's going to go away. Prader-Willi syndrome is another example. Specifically, those folks have one of their genes is off and they have an insatiable appetite. So if you can imagine how hard that would be to control if you were hungry all the time. So
Yes.
That's one of the disabilities as well. So there's several out there, and we serve all of those types of disabilities.
Great. Why is there a need for this service in St. Lucie County?
Well, specifically, I'd answer that with these folks with what we say IDD, because intellectual and developmental disability is kind of a mouthful. IDD folks go to high school and they can go up to the age of 22. Then after 22, what do they do? What do the parents do? The parents can't, stay home and be with them and take care of them. So we have an adult day program, age 22 and above, that they can come to. We also have a children's program, ages 5 to 21, which is really needed in this community because, again, some of these kids can't go to a, quote, regular daycare because of their problem behaviors. People aren't trained to deal with them, and often they're kicked out of after school or daycare. So we have usually 15 kids throughout the school year, and then we have a summer camp which gets up to 30 or 40 kids so that the parents can continue to work and know that their children are in a safe and learning environment. So it's, the adults, it's how can we help them after age 22, and as well as helping with the kids with after school and during the summer.
So what services and support do you provide?
Specific services that we have is an adult day program. Our facilities out on Kirby Loop Road by the college. We're open from 9 to 3, Monday through Friday. We provide transportation as well if needed. And during the day, they are engaged in, the quote is meaningful day activities, but it can be pre-vocational training, job training, arts and crafts, daily living skills. We also have a volunteering program that get them out in the community. We have community outings as well. A lot of our programs focus on getting them out into the community. Besides the day program, we have 4 group homes or residential homes in Fort Pierce, 6-bedroom homes. They're really, 2 of them were recently renovated, really nice. The other one's on tap through a grant to get $75,000 worth of renovations. And those homes, we provide 24/7 care. So if they don't go to our day program, they're at the group home, and that a community residential home is another way to put it. So they're living, in a neighborhood, interacting with their neighbors, going shopping, going to the mall, just like any other person like you and I would do. Mentioned the children's program as well. So again, that's from kids age 5 to 21. And I kind of talked about what we do there. And we also, again, offer transportation services. We have a fleet of 24 vehicles. And our vocational program is growing as well. We're partnering with VR, vocational rehabilitation, and we have some supported employment services, so we help them obtain job skills, train them for job skills. You know, how do you interview, how do you apply for a job, and assist once they get into a job with maintaining the job, and kind of like another supervisor being there with them, working with them. And there was one other I was going to mention, but it slipped my mind. But the adult program, the kids program, and transportation and vocational services are the main thrusts of what we do.
Great. Now, you mentioned that you serve, I think it was 150?
About 150 people.
Clients. That's great. How much has that grown since you've been there?
I've been there nearly 2 years now, and I believe we've grown from about 120 to 150.
Okay.
So about 30 more.
Great, great.
Right.
Why do you think that is? Do you think there's something different that you're doing?
Yes.
Or the need? Oh, really? Okay, great, great.
Primarily, it's been getting out in the community at events. Like we were at the Safety Fest in Port St. Lucie, which if you haven't been to, it's really cool. They do the bomb detonation and the dogs and all that. So, you know, having a booth, the chili cook-off, we've participated in that. I think we've put more of an effort on just being present in the community at events as much as possible and getting the word out about what we do.
That's great. Now, how do you get your revenue, and how can people in St. Lucie County support you to be able to help your revenue grow?
About 85% of our revenue comes from Florida Medicaid.
Okay.
Not the most richest source of revenue, but besides the Medicaid, and that's reimbursed, so we provide the service and then we get reimbursed for it. The rest of it is made up of private pay, people who are not enrolled with Medicaid. Their family will private pay for the services, and then we have some grants and donations that make up the rest of it. So following up with how else can they help? Donations. We are always looking for it, and it doesn't have to be just monetary. We need clothing sometimes, toys, games. We're really trying to improve and expand the activities we do for all of them, the kids and adults. So, you know, playground equipment, anything you're thinking of getting rid of, give us a call, and we'll probably, most likely, take anything that we could use for the kids and the adults. We are also having 2 events coming up.
Great.
One is our annual walkathon. It used to be in April. We've moved it to June 1st. So Saturday, June 1st is our walkathon, and it will be in the Fenn Center. And it's a fun time. We have, you know, mostly our clients come and their parents support us, but we want more of the community to join us too. So again, June 1st at the Fenn Center. The other event, a little bit long-term down the road, we're having our first golf tournament at the Club Med in Port St. Lucie on October 26th, another Saturday. $100 per player, round of golf, free buffet. I've heard the buffet at Club Med is really extraordinary.
Yes.
You haven't tried it yet. I probably should go test it out.
I've been there twice.
Have you? So
yes.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good,
Great.
yes.
Great. So for $100, you get a round of golf. We'll have prizes. We'll have a silent auction. It's at the Club Med on October 26th. So supporting those major fundraisers would help us as well.
Now, if someone wants to make a donation, how would they do that? Just a regular donation?
Through our website. We have a donation link on our website, or even calling us at the office, which is the number that we have on display. Just calling us at the office, and we'll be happy to have you come see us, or we'll come to you. But our website or calling the office would be the best way for donations of any sort.
Great, great. That's really good. Now, what is a typical day like for an individual who may be involved with the ARC?
A day I wish I had. So for an example, I'll take one of our individuals who lives in one of our homes. So they're up in the morning, they shower, breakfast, we transport them to the day program. We have 6 activity stations where they can rotate throughout from 9 to 3. We provide a lunch for free at our day program, which is actually unique to ARCS. We have a grant for that as well. If you came on a Tuesday, you could participate in Zumba from 1 to 2. I've been over there, it's really fun. They may go out on an outing such as bowling or volunteering. Some of the sites are Rick's Garden World, Anastasia's Closet, the Treasure Coast Food Bank, and United Against Poverty. So we volunteer at those sites as well. So they can participate in activities, do Zumba, bowling, or help volunteer. About 3 o'clock, we would give them a ride back to the home, and they have their own bedroom, their own schedule of what they would like to do. We actually try to assign them chores as well to help out around the house.
That's good.
And the staff will prepare dinner for them as well. And then again, they can do what they'd like in the evening, or computer, watch TV. One of our homes has a pool. It's getting to be pool weather again. It's getting a little warm out there. So we just add a little more. We sometimes have pool parties so that everybody can come over and enjoy the pool as well.
Great. Where do you see ARC in the future?
Honestly, I would love to see us expand a little south of here into Port St. Lucie, having another day program facility in Port St. Lucie, another children's program in Port St. Lucie, and another home in Port St. Lucie. It's not that far from Fort Pierce, but I'd just really like to get them into different areas of St. Lucie County. Probably adding another fundraising event. Like I said, the Medicaid reimbursement is, it's just getting an increase out of the legislature has been really hard the last couple of years in our rates. So I would like to see us expand our services into different areas of St. Lucie County and hopefully increase our revenue a little more with some fundraising events.
That's great. Now, do you have any heartwarming stories or a story of someone that you've helped that really was impacted by your organization?
Yes, we had a fairly new individual come to us from a little further in North Florida. He had some behavioral issues, which, we all have a bad day, but they act out on their bad days in a way that can be aggressive or verbal outbursts. So we came to learn what his triggers were and when he was going to go into a problem. And one of the activity centers that we just implemented at this day program is a sensory area. We have items like kinetic sand, Play-Doh, lights and motions and things they can play with their hands. So kinetic sand is my favorite. I go out there and play sometimes, I have to admit. So the kinetic sand is really, you can mold it, you can play with it. It can come apart, and he enjoyed doing that. And every time we saw this trigger happening, where he might go into an outburst, we gave him the sand to play with. Problem solved. He was happy as a clam. So
that's great.
We were really happy to find a way to help him learn how to deal with any of his anger issues.
That's phenomenal.
And it was really heartwarming to me anyways that we figured out what he liked to do and how we could help him.
Great. Well, thank you
Kinetic
so
sand.
much. That's really good. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your organization, and we definitely have to do this again.
Yes, thank you, Kenrick. I appreciate it.
We'll be right back.
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling takes a team.
Why don't you let me and me help you out?
Everyone plays a part. Don't trash
I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it.
what could be treasure.
Pal's my most advanced android. This is awesome. You haven't seen anything yet.
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Hi, welcome back. On this segment, we have Jessica Parrish, the Director of Collaborative Impact for the United Way of St. Lucie County. How's everything going?
Great. How about you?
I'm doing great, can't complain. Now, before we get started, What are the three main areas the United Way of St. Lucie County focuses on?
So the United Way focuses on financial stability, education, health, and then we also add in basic needs. So basic needs is simply covering anything that an individual may need to survive. So that's rent, utility assistance, mortgage assistance, food insecurity, things like that. Education, we have a group that focuses our goals for the education area, and this year they focused on increasing graduation rates and increasing third grade reading proficiency. We also have a group that's focused for health and financial stability. So some of the goals health is focused on is decreasing infant mortality, increasing awareness of childhood mental health issues and solutions for that, and then also decreasing obesity and access to health care within the health area. And then finally, for financial stability, they're focused on budgeting, increasing credit scores, access to affordable housing, which is a huge issue in St. Lucie County. So.
Great, great. Now, how does the United Way get its funding to be able to help the agencies that we partner with?
So every year, the United Way runs what we call internally a campaign. So we have staff that go out to workplaces to conduct a workplace campaign, and it's through the generosity of the employees and the community that submit donations to United Way that we're able to fund the programs within the community.
Great. And then once that takes place, then that's when we're able to distribute the funds to the agencies. Now, for an agency that wants to become funding, what it is they fill out an application, a really in-depth application, and they submit it online, and then it's reviewed by a citizens review panel.
Correct.
What is the actual job of the citizens review panel?
So the Citizen Review Panel is a group of volunteers in the community that are interested in where United Way is allocating the funds. It's mainly made up of donors that provided funds through our campaign. But they review the online applications, as you alluded to, read through it, make sure the program is needed in the community, that the agencies can verify how the program is operating, how they're going to meet measurable outcomes. Then on 2 to 3 days, depending on the panel, the citizens will go out and do site visits of these agencies. Or for those agencies that go out and like feed the homeless and things like that that don't have a main office, they'll come to our office and do a presentation. Once all that is concluded, the Citizens Review Panel actually scores all the applications, and then we'll make certain funding recommendations to the United Way Board.
Now, once an organization becomes funded, what's the next step? Do we check in with them to make sure that the program is performing on par?
Yep.
Or?
So all of our funded agencies are required to submit semi-annual reports. Those semi-annual reports are reviewed by our Collaborative Impact Committee, which is a group of board members that are focused on the funding and the outcomes of the agencies. But a couple years ago, we transitioned our funding cycle a bit and moved it to a 3-year platform. So the first year we released education for 3 years. Then last year, health went out as a 3-year grant. This year, financial stability moved to a 3-year grant. We felt that the annual grant process couldn't guarantee enough outcomes or wouldn't provide a stable funding source for the agencies and the programs to produce certain outcomes. And by giving them 3 years of I don't want to say guaranteed funding, but a funding commitment, of course, it's dependent on what campaign brings in, but it gives them a 3-year funding commitment to really put that program into action. So the board is really interested to see how the education pans out. They're getting ready to enter their 3rd year of the 3-year grant. So they're watching that one pretty closely. We do check in.
That's good. Now, this program that an organization comes up with, it has to be a program that no one has within the county, is that correct?
Not necessarily. It could be a program that is already in the county. We like to see collaborative work within our program. So one of the questions on the grant application is, who do you collaborate with and how is that collaboration working? So if there's a similar program that they're proposing to us, we want to know, are they working with the other similar programs in the community for referrals, for picking up presentation points, however the program is structured.
Great, great. That's really good. And then it's the vision councils that actually check in to make sure that they're performing well, or?
It is our Collaborative Impact Committee that checks in. So we have vision councils that are made up of community experts and community leaders for each of our 3 main areas, the education, health, and financial stability. And the Vision Councils are really tasked with bringing to United Way local data and current market conditions to see what the need is within that focus area. So they come up with the goals that I mentioned earlier. They come up with the outcomes and indicators that really focus our funding.
Great. Now, Women United is also having a volunteer event coming up this month as well. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
So Women United is an affinity group for United Way. It's a group of women that are interested in making community change within St. Lucie County. So we've held a couple lunch and learns, and we're getting ready to hold our first volunteer event. So the women that are a part of the group are pretty passionate about homeless children within the school district. We just held a lunch and learn last Friday where they learned the data and the statistics of how many students within the school district are considered and classified homeless. So our volunteer event will be on May 18th, and the women selected to pack care kits for the homeless students within the community, within the schools. So we're collecting currently shampoo, conditioner, bar soap, new underwear, socks to put in these kits. Children's Services Council of St. Lucie County graciously will be providing books to go into the kits. So each child that receives these kits will receive a book as well.
That's really great. Now, how big of an issue is this homelessness? And
we had Kylie Fior at the Lunch and Learn, and she indicated that there is right now just over 1,800 students within the school district that are classified as homeless.
Wow, that's really big. Now, just piggybacking off of Women United, how did you come up with this idea to start this in St. Lucie County?
So there are several United Ways throughout the nation that have what's called affinity groups. They're all geared towards certain different things. There's a young adult affinity group. United Way of Martin County has a Leaders United affinity group. So a couple women approached us that were interested in forming a group similar to the Martin County group, but they wanted it to be more focused on bringing women together and using the power of the women within our community. So it really was a community-led initiative that came to us to start the program.
How much has it grown? I know it's only been around for a little bit.
Yeah, we just started, I would say officially in January. We've held 2 lunch and learns, and there we've had about 40 to 42 people each at each lunch and learn. We're at about 20 members that are considered our leadership committee. So they're the ones that are really formulating the focus for these lunches, really spearheading the volunteer effort. So it's grown quite a bit.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And if there's someone out there who wants to become a member of this group, how would they go about doing that?
So they could reach out to me. They can email me at the email address that was on the screen, or they could go to our website and submit, questions for more information. Also, Dana Trabolsi is our chair, so they could reach out to Dana or Donna DeMarchi. We have a leadership committee that meets monthly, so if they're interested, they're more than welcome to come and participate. They could just email or call me, and I'll give them the date and time.
Great. And there's also another Lunch and Learn coming up next month. Is that correct?
June 14th, yep. We are planning a Lunch and Learn focused on disaster preparedness. So we will actually have it hosted by the Emergency Operations Center out on Midway. We'll be able to do a tour of the EOC, learn about the upcoming hurricane season, because it's right around the corner, ironically. What we need to be prepared for, what we should stock up, et cetera, things like that. We're looking at bringing in a speaker from Red Cross. So Sarah Rui is going to be participating as the executive director of Red Cross, as well as staff from the EOC.
Great. Now, where do you see this group going in the future? Is there like a main thing you want to just focus on with Women United, or you want to explore everything?
So being that this is their first year, come after that June Lunch and Learn that's focused on disaster preparedness, we're going to come back together probably as a full membership to determine what they want to focus on for the second year, I would say. They really want to learn about everything and all the challenges within the community right now before they select a target area to focus on. They want to know where there's gaps and where they can fill in. So we're really just testing the water right now to see what's of interest to them. But probably within the next year and a half, they're going to hone in on a target and focus on that.
Great, great. Now, is there like a fee to join this group? Or?
We do have a membership fee. So to be classified as a leadership member, it's an annual contribution of $250. And then to be classified as a typical member, it's $125 a year.
Great, great. And it consists of lunch and learns and volunteer events.
Volunteer opportunities, et cetera. We may add in a fundraiser here or there. We're still new.
Yes.
So we're only 4 months in, but that has been a topic that we brought up a couple times.
Have you gotten any feedback from people in the community about how fast the group has grown? Or?
Yes. It's pretty surprising how quickly it's picked up. You know, the first Lunch and Learn, I think we were at 44 people. The second one, we were at 42, and only 11 of them were returning members. So it was hitting a whole new market of women to participate in the Lunch and Learn.
Yes.
So I think as we pick up different topics, you're going to hit a different segment of the population to just bring it even larger than where it's at.
Great.
I know the chair has a goal of 80 for our next Lunch and Learn. So we'll see how big that grows.
Yeah, and I think the first Lunch and Learn was focused on children's mental health.
Yes.
Yes, so there's a routine there, which is really good. Now, we also have Stuff the Bus coming up also.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so United Way also runs a program called Tools for Schools, where we provide pretty much a free store where teachers can come and shop for school supplies that are needed in their classroom. Each year, the program runs another event called Stuff the Bus. So it's a Saturday in July, typically, where we have volunteers perched outside of all the local Walmarts collecting donated school supplies or monetary donations. So this year, it'll be on July 20th. We'll have volunteers at all four Walmarts collecting school supplies and monetary donations. That typically runs from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So they'll all be out there collecting the stuff. Last year, I think we brought in just over 5,000 items from that one-day event and around $2,500 in monetary donations. So,
wow,
yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Now, if someone wants to volunteer, how would they get involved?
So typically, come May-ish, so probably mid-May. It's already May.
Any day now.
Yeah. We'll set up a link for a Sign Up Genius site, and they can pick the time slots that work for them. So since it's 9 to 3, we don't expect someone to come out for the entire time span. We set up 2-hour shifts so they can go online to the Sign Up Genius, pick their shifts, and register for a slot.
Great. Once they are signed up, what is it that they're required to do?
So each Walmart will have what we call captains. So that captain will be responsible for assigning them tasks while they're there. But typically we have a couple people at the door passing out flyers to those that are walking into Walmart. Or holding a container to collect the monetary donations. We have someone at the table that's taking in the donations. Typically, the captain is in the back keeping track of the inventory, so they have someone to help them count the inventory. So there's different tasks or assigned duties that they could do once they're there.
That's really great. Now, how many volunteers did you have last time? Are you thinking that there are going to be more volunteers this year?
Last year, we had about 10 to 15 per site.
Oh, okay.
So it's a huge need of volunteers. We do reach out to a lot of our friends at Wells Fargo and PNC because they have a big volunteer troop as well. But it is pretty big in the need for volunteers. So hopefully 10 to 15 is about what we need to run the program successfully with the multiple shifts.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. You gave us a lot of great information about the United Way, and I'm looking forward to having you come on again.
Awesome. Thank you for
Great.
having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for watching.